Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
ma'am.
Yeah. Raju sir, can I start?
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I would like to commence this session on intellectual property rights organized by Srimati P.N. Doshi Women's College under the MOU signed with St. Joseph's College, Kerala. And before we begin with the session, I would like to invite upon our Vice Principal Commerce faculty, Raju Chauhan sir, to kindly give the welcome address. Over to you, Raju sir.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this seminar on or webinar on intellectual property right. As a vice principal of this institution, I believe that it is our responsibility to equip our students and staff with the knowledge and skills that necessary to succeed in the today's globalized world. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our esteemed speaker for taking the time out of her busy schedule to share her expertise with us. I would like to thank all of you for being here today and for your interest in this important topic. I hope that webinar will be informative, engaging, and thought-provoking, and that will inspire us all to think more critically about the importance of the intellectual property and the role plays in our life. Once again, welcome to this webinar. I wish you all the productive and enjoyable learning experience. Thank you so much. Over to you, Purvi ma'am.
Yes, now I would like to go ahead with the program and call upon Dr. Suchita Bover, the head of the department for BCA, to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Mauri Ghosh. Suchita ma'am.
Thank you, Purvi. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Mauri Ghosh, who is an IP facilitator and a registered patent agent. Currently, she is full-time faculty at the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences and visiting faculty at Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur. She teaches both law and science students on various disciplines of intellectual property laws and technology laws. She is an BPO alumni and did her LLM in intellectual property law from University of Edinburgh. Prior to her LLB, she did PhD in toxicology and pharmacology. Her postdoctoral research was in bioinformatics. As a women scientist under TIFAC, that is Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council, Department of Science and Technology, she has acquired professional experience in patent prosecution at a renowned IP law firm. This unique combination of understanding in research, education, and practice means a session with Dr. Ghosh, which will bring a well-rounded approach to IP in our today's webinar. Over to you, Dr. Ghosh.
Let me just unmute. I'm audible. Yes?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Good. And so good morning and thank you, sir, and thank you, Dr. Bovar, for such a nice introduction. We actually have only 1 hour, so I wouldn't waste much time in uh, talking about the program itself or anything. So thank you for organizing this program under the aegis of Women's College. And I see a healthy number of participants already. Welcome for today's session of IP awareness program. It is being conducted as a part of a series of program over India under the aegis of NIPOM, the National Intellectual Property Awareness Mission, and it is working along with IP India to celebrate the Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav. But the thing is, what does that mean? What does that really mean? What does that really mean to us personally? So this is what we are going to talk about today. Dr. Bovar, I had started sharing a slide. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is
Right now?
visible, but you can make it a slide share.
I need to go to slide share. I am screen sharing. You'll have to guide me a little bit along because I am more used to Google Meet. So, just stop sharing. Now, share screen. Share screen, window, this one, share. Yes? Is it visible now?
Ma'am, your PPT is visible at the bottom, at the very end of your screen. Zoom in, zoom out option is there. Na? Just beside it, there is one icon of slideshow. You just run that option of slideshow. Or you can just press Control F5.
Control F5.
Or F5, only F5 you can press and
F5.
it will be a slideshow.
No, I don't actually want to put it in slideshow mode because I want to toggle between different slides. And I need to see the panel on the left side so that
Yes.
I can see which one. So would that work?
No, it did not work. Ma'am, can you go to the menus, home, insert, draw menu is there, no? Where you will see slideshow.
Let me see. More. Now, chat, reaction, setting, start video, mute. I don't see
Your
a
share
menu.
screen is there. Only thing is
share screen is there.
Yeah, you share the
When
screen. I'll guide you to click on slideshow.
There I went to the window part, the window tab. Under the window tab, I selected the PowerPoint, and then I clicked on share. And now I can see my slide. I can see my slide in the.
Ma'am, you can go ahead with this also. Your screen is visible.
Can you see me toggling between different slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the time, it will be just a conversation between all of us. So it wouldn't really matter what the screen is showing here.
No, ma'am, but your screen is visible. You can start with the session.
Okay, so whenever you give me the green light, I'll start. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So the thing is, first I'd like to welcome. I see 57 participants, which is a very healthy number, and I'm very happy. So and Dr. Bovar told us that more people probably would be joining in, and people would also be joining in through YouTube live stream. So we are talking about the purpose of this session. Why do we need to learn about a law thing? Because IP law is a law thing, nah? We are not. All of us are not lawyers. So why do we need to learn about a law thing? The thing is, the purpose between all this creative India, innovative India movement, all this, why the government of India is pushing this thing, all this thing is so as to create an IP savvy workforce. Why? Because development begins with innovation and creativity. And you cannot achieve a self-reliance in innovating and in creating without an intellectual property talent pool, without a pool of people who are savvy in all matters that are IP. These awareness sessions, these are an initiative. This is one step forward to develop an IP literate workforce in India. So again, this word IP. Let me go to the slide. IP, intellectual property. IP. What is it? What is this new animal in the room? What riches would we get if we learn about IP? New career prospect? Actually, yes. What more? Better and more efficient utilization of our assets? Yes. Better performance in academia? Yes. Better performance in front of an interview board? Yes. And so many more. How? So that is what we are going to learn today. So let's begin. Let us begin with this word, intellectual property. Okay, so we can guess that it is some sort of property. What is property? Can anyone give me any your idea of property? What is property? Please unmute yourself. There is no wrong answer. There is no wrong answer in this class. What is property? What do you understand by property? Yes? We have 56 people. Just unmute yourself. Or do they have the, can they unmute themselves, or is it controlled by host or some central control?
No, ma'am, they can unmute.
Okay, so come on, go ahead. I see so many nice names. Shonam Tiwari, Rupali.
Hello, ma'am.
Then, okay, let me just, yes, hello, Anushka, welcome. What do you understand by property? Yes?
Thank you, ma'am. Property is something which belongs to us, like land or anything.
Very good. Clap for Anushka. Okay, you probably won't be able to clap because you are all muted. I'm clapping for Anushka. You have given the first example. Land. Land is a property. House is a property. Yes. Car is a property. Watch is a property. And you also used another word. It belongs to us. So the moment we say it belongs to us, it means we own it. You own it. You own your land. How do you know you own your land? Anybody? Anushka or anybody? How do you know you own your land? I could just say that I own this piece of land between let's say the ferry, the Ganga ferry, and Ghorimore. Those are two prime places that we use as indicators. Let's say I just said that I own the land between those two demarcators. So would that work? If I just say it, there has to be some sort of proof, no? So what is the proof? How can you prove that this land belongs to you? Anybody?
Yes, ma'am. We should have a legal document supporting it that is registered on our name or it is given to us.
Good, Manushi. Very good answer. So there is a deed that will tell you that you own something. Your house has a deed. Your car, you have car ownership paper. It will be in your name. If you buy a watch, it would be, you would have the receipt in your name. So property means having ownership right, or is it? What about possession? How many of you you are living in a rented flat, or as a paying guest, or in a bed and breakfast, hostel? How many of you? So the deed is not in your name. It is in the landlord's name or in the landlady's name. They are the owner. But as long as you are occupying that rented flat, you can prevent the landlord from using that flat, his own flat, in his own name, but you can stop him. So you have possession right. You paid for it for, say, the next 6 months. So you possess, your landlord owns. Whose property is it? Come on, anybody, just unmute yourself. Yes? Unmute yourself. There is no wrong answer. Just there could be only 3 possibilities. Either the person who has rented the flat who is possessing it, either this person owns it, either you own it, or your landlord owns it. Or how many other options can there be? Yes. Connecting to audio. Anybody? like a toss. What could it be? Who is the owner whose property is the rented flat? The landlord is the owner. He owns the property. You possess it. Okay. The answer is
Landlord.
both. Landlord, good. But you can stop the landlord from selling this rented flat for the duration when you have paid to possess the flat, right? So you can, if you can prevent the landlord from selling it from under you, then you also have property right on it. So property is not just ownership right. Property is also possession right. So both of you, that rented flat is the the property which belongs to both you and the landlord. It seems a little bit out there, na? I'm renting the flat. I don't own it, but you don't own it. It's still your property because you possess it for that limited period of time. You have the right to possess it. Your landlord cannot come and they cannot use your kitchen for cooking for any single day they just wish to do it, because you have paid for the use, for the possession of that kitchen for the time being. So it is also your property. So property is something that is made up of many rights. All these rights together, all of them, they made up property. The lawyers call it a bundle of right, ownership right, preventing others to own. Nobody else can just show a piece of paper and say that I own this house. It has to be a legal instrument. It has to be a deed that is recognized by law. Possession right, preventing others to possess. Selling right, only you can sell. You can prevent others from sell. Using right, preventing other to use. Right to destroy. Say you're mad. You're very mad. You're burning mad at your best friend, and you took a hammer to the watch that your best friend gave you for your birthday. You took a hammer and you destroyed the watch. No retaliation, no repercussion. Police won't come to your house to catch you. Why? Because it is your property. You have the right to destroy your property. You have the right to take a hammer to your watch, but not the watch of your friend. You do not have the right to destroy the rented flat because some of the property right is still with the owner. Some of the property rights are with you. So property rights are a bundle of rights, because having property means having this bundle of rights to own, to possess, to use, to sell, to give. Having a property means having any of those rights over something. My house, I can prevent you from possessing it. You can protect what you own. Let me change the slide and let me show you this one. Just a visual cue. It's a cornerstone of property. Property is an asset and you can sell it. You can commercially exploit your property and you'd have to protect your asset. Think of it in this way. First, Anushka came in and she talked about real estate, some real estate. Let's say some real estate you own and you possess. Let's say you have all the property rights. You own, sell, possess, use some land, your property. Now, if other people trespass or tries to squat on your property, you can get the police involved. You can get the law, the government instrument to help you exercise your right to possess the land, to use the land. You will prevent others from possessing or using the land. You can raise a wall surrounding your land. You can fence it. Demarcate the four corners of the boundary of your land. You are staking a claim. This is mine, not yours. Get off this land. This is my land. Because that is what having a property means. It's a negative right. It's a preventive right. It's an exclusionary right. You can exclude others. So it's a kind of property. So this thing that we have here, intellectual property. It's a kind of property. Intellectual property is a kind of property. It's an asset. It's an asset you can own, you can possess, you can sell, you can use. An asset you protect, you prevent others from using, but it is intellectual in nature. It is intellectual by origin. What does that mean? What does that mean? Intellectual, a property, how can property be intellectual? J.K. Rowling's net worth is said to be in $1 billion. Yes. Now, the Wall Street journals, I was just reading this morning, places the value of the rights of her books, Harry Potter books, to $250 million. This money, well, most of it, Rowling got by selling her books. So what exactly is she selling? What exactly is a book? If you break it down, if you break a book down, it is the novel and the pages which carries the novel, on which the novel is printed. Which one of these two is, in your idea, in your mind, which one of these two is intellectual property? Which one of these two is a product of J.K. Rowling's intellect? You can unmute and have at it. Oh, 61 participants. So yes, I see Anushka's name here, and also Shikha, Redmi 91, Vaishnavi, and anybody? Just unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and give me your idea of which part of J.K. Rowling's book. Do I have any book here? No, I don't have any book near my hand. So in J.K. Rowling's book, the pages and the novel, the story, that's what makes up the book. No? Which one do you think is the intellectual property? Yes, Angel Jimson, Nayana Bose, Ajna T.S. Anybody? Yes? Okay, fine. Okay. It's a novel, right? Achha, I am audible, na? I am audible. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's a novel, it's a story. Why? Because it's the words strung together that was born of J.K. Rowling's intellect, her imagination. The novel is intangible. You cannot touch the novel. You cannot touch the novel, but you can touch the book. You can touch the pages. You cannot touch the novel, not the story. The story is in ether. The story is something imaginary. The story is something that has been made by stringing some words together. This intellectual property, this intangible, this untouchable property that is born of J.K. Rowling's intellect, in law we call it literary work. The rest of the book, the pages, the cover, the parts that you can touch, they are merely a vehicle for the literary work. It is interchangeable. This vehicle is interchangeable. Instead of pages, you can have a pen drive in which the book is in ebook format, in a PDF or EPUB format. You can have a CD for the audio book. The book remains the novel remains the same. The words that come one after another, the words remain the same. But the format in which it is presented, the vehicle is different because it is intangible. It needs a physical medium to embody it. So this is intellectual property. This real value, the real value of the Harry Potter book is in the novel, not in the books, not in the pages. That is what she sells. That is what gets her billions. It is only this novel is only carried or packed in the book. That is why you'll find her name in the copyright pages in all Harry Potter book. Let me show you something. Where is the share thing? Yes, share thing. Let me go to Chrome tab and let me this one first. Where is the first edition criteria?
Ma'am, you're muted. You're not audible.
Go back there. Hey, I am audible now. Yes, I'm audible now.
Yes, ma'am, you're
Yes,
audible.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Achha, so
Yes, ma'am.
when I went to the copyright page, my voice got lost. Na? When did you
Yes.
lose? Yes, achha.
Yes.
But you are able to see the copyright page. You are able to see it.
Yes.
If you just open any textbook even and go to this page, this second or third page, you'll find that the copyright is written here. Who's the copyright? Who does this copyright of the book belong to? Whose property is it? The ownership deed. Copyright is the ownership deed for novels, for textbook, for literary works, for musical works as well, for songs as well. Even you buy a CD, you'll find copyright, the copyright message, who this musical work belongs to. If I use Anushka's phrase, who does this belongs to? So what does this signify? What does this copyright, this word signifies? The ownership deed. For this type of intellectual property, for literary work, let me show the slide. Am I sharing a slide right now? Are
No,
you
ma'am.
looking at a slide? No, no problem. Okay, back we go. Yes, for this sort of intellectual property, for literary works, for books, for painting, sculptures, for choreography, for musical works, for sound recording, for films, movies, for this kind of thing, copyright is it's the name we give to this intellectual property. Copyright means Rowling has a bundle of property right on her intellectual property on that novel. That is why only she can sell her books. That is why all the royalties from the sale of the books, a portion of it, goes to her quarter billion. She also sold some other property rights because property rights are a bundle of rights, na? And it is intellectual property, still property, still a bundle of rights. So she also sold some other property rights, not all rights, but some rights. For example, some rights are sold to Warner Brothers. The right to make movie on her book now belongs with Warner Brothers. This means Warner Brothers have the copyright on the movies. Now only Warner Brothers can make Harry Potter movie. Now Warner Brothers are the only people who can stream Harry Potter movie. And if you want to stream their movies, then you'd have to ask for permission and you'd be allowed for some royalty consideration. So this means the moral of this story is intellectual property can be an asset. Intellectual property can be an asset. And we all know how much money we are talking about with Warner Brothers and Harry Potter movies. So assets must be protected or else you'd lose it. You have a land, you fence it. You have a literary work, you copyright it. You have a cinematographic film, you copyright it. Copyright is the fence that tells other people, private property, do not trespass. Beware of ferocious dogs. Only for intellectual assets rather than tangible assets like a house, a car, this kind of thing. Forget about Rowling and Warner Brothers. Come down to earth. Let's talk about us. You submit an article to a journal, then you have to sign off a form that looks like this. Okay, let me know if my voice, if we lose my voice, because I'm again going to show you a copyright transfer form that is quite boilerplate. There is a common copyright transfer form, and we sign it. We usually sign it. So again, share screen and IJ. Where is IJ? Journal of this one.
Ma'am, you are
You're not audible now.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yes. Am I
Yes,
audible
you're
now?
audible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So anyway, you had a snapshot of the page, na? You saw that there was. I'll just read you aloud. Read aloud what it says. It's a copyright transfer agreement form. If you have your cell phones or your computers right near you, then you can just type it, copyright transfer agreement form. And then I'll just tell you the kind of language there is. It says of this work, the undersigned authors, you are the undersigned author because you are submitting the journal. Undersigned authors hereby assigns, conveys, and otherwise transfers all rights, title, interest, and copyright ownership of the said work for publication to the journal. The work includes material submitted for publication and any other related material submitted to the journal. In the event IJDR, the journal, does not publish the said work, author will be so notified and all rights assigned herein under would revert to the author. So you are actually signing off all your rights, and it goes on to explain what does the assignment of rights includes, and then it says it is not expressly limited to rights to edit, publish, reproduce, distribute copies, include in indexes or search databases in print, electronic or other media. So many rights that you are giving up. You don't even know the rights you are giving up because you don't even know the rights you own. You don't even know that when you write something, a journal, a paper, or a book, or a thesis, considerable amount of your intellectual input gets into that paper or into that thesis. And when the journals buy the copyright from you, the journal actually asks for subscription fee to their subscribers, pool of subscriber. Basically, they are selling your article, but you are not allowed to publish your own paper after you have already submitted it to the journal. So you signed it. It's a pretty boilerplate form, and we read it. So you signed away your rights without knowing it. And there are penalties, both civil and criminal penalties for copyright infringement. Infringement is the lawyerly term we use for stealing. But look at this here. It says if you submit a paper here in that journal, then you cannot publish the same words elsewhere, your own composition. If you publish it elsewhere, you will be stealing. You would be stealing from the journal. So you need to know what you own. This is why you must learn about intellectual property. Copyright is the intellectual property concerned here. And civil and criminal penalty means jail. In copyright, the highest term is 6 months in jail. So this is serious. You should know what you own so that you can protect your asset, your thesis, your ownership, your property. An article you submitted to a journal is Usually it's the journal's property. Your term ends question that that you use for your examination to go to the next year, probably it is your college's property. So after exam, you suddenly thought I'd collect all the previous and current year question papers and I'd bind them together and I'd sell them. Don't. First, find out whose property it is, the question papers, whose property it is. First, find out. Find out whether it is in public domain. Because otherwise, if it is the college's ownership, then it would be like you selling your neighbor's bike because your neighbor's bike is parked in the road. You cannot do that. So take another example. We all use the P2P forums, right? Bookos, then it became Book Z, then it became Book ZZ. So their names keep changing from time to time. Why? Because some of the books that they are sharing in that platform are stolen. The legal term is copyright infringement. You don't want others to steal your property. And you definitely don't want to go to jail or shell out 50,000 rupees because you stole someone else's intellectual property. There was a newspaper report just some 2 years back. There was a 12-year-old girl who was sued and who was fined $2,000 for downloading music without buying it from the P2P forums. Music industry is a behemoth. The main asset that runs music industry is music. It's intangible. You cannot touch music. It's intellectual. The musician created it. It's an asset. You can sell music. Think Bollywood. Music means money. Music has copyright. So if it originates from you, are you looking at the slide right now? Are you looking at the slide right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So if it originates from you, if it has creativity, and if it is fixed in a tangible media to carry it, then you have copyright on it. It doesn't have to be, what is creativity? It doesn't have to be Mona Lisa. If I draw a doodle, let's say this one. Let me just draw a doodle. So here is a doodle. It's a nice looking doodle. So if I draw this doodle, there is only a smidgen of creativity. That is enough. It has copyright. It has creativity. Why? Because number one, it originated from me. Number two, it is fixed in the digital media, in the PowerPoint. And number three, beauty is in the eye of beholder. Who is to say that this doodle means nothing? I say this is a monkey, the mother monkey, and this is the baby monkey, and this is the tail of the monkey. Who are you to say that it is not an abstract art of monkey? Maybe some monkey enthusiast would even want to buy this picture. It's an asset. So this minimum modicum of creativity is enough. You whitewashed your wall, hard work, skillful work, so the paint doesn't spill to the across the border. But it is not creative. This is creative. So just because it cannot be touched doesn't mean you won't go to jail for stealing or pay for stealing my art that I have created. Take a software in our day-to-day life, not on antivirus, Kaspersky. These are intellectual assets. You cannot touch them. They are intangible, but they are the programmer's brainchild, intellectual. You pay money to buy a Kaspersky. It's an asset. Because it is an asset, there are pirated copies. What is worth having is worth stealing. So it must be protected by the owner. Pirated copy means loss of sale for the programmer. Yes, because antivirus software is a property. It's an intellectual property. The only difference between your land and the software you wrote is the land is something you can touch and the software you can't touch, intangible. Because It is intellectual, someone's brainchild. Both are asset. Both must be protected against trespassers and squatters. Your land, you fence. Your software, you copyright. Only in India. In USA, on the other hand, you need to patent your software. Remember the fence around your land? Patent is another such a fence. It is another kind of IP. When the property is technology, then the fence you use is patent. Let me change the slide. This is the second major kind of IP. And technology is a property. Technology is an asset. I buy a watch that runs. It runs because of the technology running it. Would you buy a watch that does not run, a dead watch? No. Where in a dead watch, what you do have in a dead watch? In a dead watch, you would have the nuts, the bolts, the springs, the gears, the dials, the big hand, the small hand. But without the technology running it, it's a paperweight. So the metal body, the glass dial, the nuts, the bolts, the things that you can touch, these are the tangible vehicle that carries the technology. Technology you cannot touch. The technology is the asset that sells the watch. This property is intangible property. It is invented by a scientist brain. It is a product of our intellect. It's an asset that is produced by her intellectual function. It's an intellectual property. Technology is an intellectual property that can be protected by patent. Now, all technology, every technology cannot be fenced by a patent. Unlike copyright, which is automatic, you get a copyright the moment you create a novel. Let me have a sip of my coffee. It's gotten cold. Thank you. So, you get a copyright the moment you create a poetry. You write a poetry, a drama, a film, a sound recording, musical tune. Unlike that, you have to qualify to get a patent. Why? Because government is giving you this right. It's a monopoly. It's a 20-year monopoly. Meaning, for the 20 years from your application of patent, you can prevent everyone from making a watch with your patented technology, from using the watch with your patented technology, from selling the watch with your patented technology, from showcasing, from importing it in India. If someone does make that watch with your patented technology, then they must have your permission. They must pay you a royalty, or else you can sue them for damage and then they would pay you restitution. But the government would give you this right only if your technology is a worthy one, meaning it has novelty. It is a new technology, or say if it is a brilliant one, very technologically advanced, very economically significant, very cheap to mass produce. But that is not enough. There is a third requirement. You invent a plant-powered battery, and you invent a three-legged trousers. So let's say you invent a new plant-powered battery. Ansari invented a new plant-powered battery, and Sonam invented a new three-legged trousers. Both new and ingenious. Who would even dream of a three-legged pants? But only the battery would get patent. Why? Because patent protects industrial IP right. Who would buy your three-legged pants? It has to be industrially made and produced and used. There are other qualifying criteria, a fourth qualifying criteria. For example, in India, we do not give patent to business strategy, which should be important for you. We do not give patent to computer program. Even if they are new, they are inventive, they are industrially applicable, we do not give them those kind of patent, a patent. But USA does. Neither does USA. USA doesn't give patent to business strategy or computer program. So these are policy-driven decisions. We do not give patent to traditional knowledge. We do not give patents to human therapy because a doctor shouldn't be curtailed from practicing surgery on a patient because the doctor has to ask for permission of a big pharma company which has monopoly over the surgical process. That is against public good. So we are an agrarian country. We do not give patent to cultivation process. Vietnam does. We do not give the patent to anything that is copyrightable, like musical work. We do not give patent to music therapy. Korea has patent on music therapy. So some of these technologies are exempted, even though they satisfy the 3 criteria of being novel, being having an inventive step, and being industrially applicable. But these 4 criteria are not enough. This is like, compare it with getting from class 4 to class 5. You have to sit the end term exam, but passing the exam is not enough to enroll you in class 5. You have to pay the school fee. Government is taking worthy technologies, is giving worthy technologies a limited monopoly that can be exercised only in India, but it is not free. There is no free lunch. In exchange of having this commercial monopoly, you have to disclose all information regarding your technology to the public. So scientists can learn from it. They can improve on it. So that after this 20-year monopoly is over, after the patent expires, anybody can make, sell, import, etc., and do all kind of business with this technology. Now, this is another benefit, especially for you. Remember I said, what are the opportunities you would have? And one of those was in academia, in practicing academia, writing papers. So, and that is a feather in your cap. Now, if you have published in a good journal, good peer-reviewed journal with a good impact factor, then it helps in your academia and academic life, and also later on with your career prospects. So, because technology must be new to be patented and it must be disclosed, the IP India website, I am not showing it because the moment I go to the internet, my voice gets lost. So just type IP India in your in Google Chrome or wherever, in Yahoo, wherever whatever browsing machine you use. So the IP India website is full of cutting edge technology because the technology must be new to be patented and it must be disclosed. So it is a huge repository of all kind of technology. All kind of technology arranged according to different scientific discipline. Now, I was going through your college website and I saw that you have textile, you have nutrition, you have communication in your curriculum. You want resources, good resources for writing high-grade, sophisticated article. You'd go to Patent Office website. It's free, completely free. You want to write on business strategy? Go to US Patent Office website. They have patent on business strategy. Because these are assets, and because government wants to work those assets to its fullest extent, so that public at large can benefit from it, from new technologies, these are mandatorily disclosed. All information regarding a technology you have patented would need to be disclosed, or even apply for patent, you would need to disclose it. All IPs have some things in common. Let me change the slide. Let me go this one. Yes. So they are an asset. They are born of someone's intellect. So they are also intangible. They cannot be touched. They all need a physical vehicle to be commercially exploited. A technology is sold. Technology in your watch is sold wrapped in the body of the watch. J.K. Rowling's novel is sold carried on the pages. The right that you get Another point which is common, rights that you get are preventive or exclusionary. You stop others from distributing unless they pay. The right is limited. Another common theme that you find. 20-year for patent, for design maximum, 15-year trademark indefinitely. For copyright, life of water, you'd have to wait till for that. Remember that monkey picture I sketched? If you want to copy that monkey picture or take printouts of that monkey picture and sell it, you'd have to wait till I die. And then you would have to wait more 60 years before you can do that. Before that, it wouldn't come into public domain. And this right is territorial, which means it works only within the boundary of the country where you have obtained the patent or where you have obtained the design. So think of IP in this manner. This will be much easier. I am human and I am teaching you IP in this class because I am alive. So I am a combination of my body and my life. Without life, I won't be teaching you law, IP law. You cannot touch the life that animates the body. You can touch the body. Without the life, I won't be teaching you IP law. But without the body, the life would be unable to function because life needs a vehicle. Without technology, the watch won't run. But without the body of the watch, the technology is intangible, like a ghost. So watch is a combination of the tangible body, the springs, the nuts, the bolts, the gears, the what have you, the intangible body and the tangible body and the intangible technology. A book, a novel, is a combination of the tangible pages and the intangible storyline. The value of J.K. Rowling's story of Harry Potter derives from the story, which is J.K. Rowling's imagination. J.K. Rowling's way of expressing that imagination by stringing words together into paragraphs, then paragraphs into chapters, then chapters into books, then books into series. The arrangement of words, the organization of the story, this is something you cannot touch. The pages are just the vehicle carrying that intangible asset, that intellectual property. The invisible product born of J.K. Rowling's brain, of her intellect, the value comes from that intellectual property. The vehicle, the medium can be anything. It is interchangeable. If it is not page, then it can be ebook in PDF or EPUB format. The medium can be digital memory space instead of papers. It can be audiobook. The story remains the same. Those tangible vehicles are interchangeable because the value of the copyright of the intellectual property of the story comes from the story created by J.K. Rowling. I am wearing a jacket. A jacket has a nice industrial design. It has a nice motif embroidered on the boundaries and also on the back. You cannot see it because I'm not turning around, but it is there in the back. That design is the intellectual property, an asset which is carried by this tangible fabric of the jacket. I just used a new word. A new word. Industrial property. Industrial design. Look at this slide. So many bottles, So many bottles. All have the same function, the same technology. You blow glass using extreme heat in such a manner that you'd create a container able to hold liquid. Same technology for all, but different looks, different aesthetic appeal to cater to the taste of different customers. The look, the appearance, this is intangible. You can touch the glass, you cannot touch the appearance, the visual appearance, the aesthetic appeal. You cannot touch that. I saw in your website that you have apparel designing. My dear friend, you are creating industrial assets. You are creating industrial designs. Your design, if your design is original, if your design is distinctive from other designs in the market. If your design can be applied to an article like a bottle or a bag, then you can register it as industrial design. It means if someone makes or sells or imports a bag having the same shape, then you can stop them using the law. You can get restitution. Design right is limited for 15 years maximum. There is another IP that is listed here, trademark. Think of Apple computer. Where is that one? Think of this one. Think of Apple computer. When you see this mark, this half-eaten apple, do you think fruit or do you think computer? You think computer, because this mark, this half-eaten apple mark, this symbolizes something. It symbolizes that a trade relationship exists between the computer and Apple Inc., the company. So trademark is something that in one hand, it is holding the goods and services, and in another hand, it is holding the proprietor. And it says that a trade relationship exists between these two. It tells you that this computer, these goods belongs, again I am using Anushka's word, belongs to that company. McDonald's M, next slide, in the next slide, see this one, this sign, McDonald's M. It tells you that the service is provided by McDonald's company. In your mind, this trade relationship gets translated into goodwill that particular company has with you. McDonald's gave you good service the last time you had some McDonald's. You remembered it and you are happy. This goodwill would increase McDonald's sale. See where the asset parts come in. Goodwill is intangible. Goodwill is something that is intellectual. I'll come to that how. So goodwill, this goodwill will increase McDonald's sale, because the next time you're in town, you'd buy a McBurger. You won't go buy a KFC chicken. You'd probably buy a McBurger because you are so happy with McDonald's. So it's also an asset. Or if you had KFC chicken, you are so happy with their performance, with their service, you'd buy a KFC bucket next time. So it is an asset, an commercial asset, and it is intellectual. How? A whole lot of business strategy, a whole lot of management, stellar service, quality control on the goods goes into it. It's a product of your brain. This is called trademark. You can even sell this goodwill. If you go into internet and you look at Forbes list of brand value, you'd find brands have value. And people nowadays in business transaction, because there is knowledge economy, we don't no more we use the real estate and heavy machinery to do business. The main thing used in business transaction nowadays, 80% of it, and I'm using 2 years data from 2 years back, was IP, intellectual property. People do business with patent. People do business with confidential information. People do business with copyright, with design, with trademark. So you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid it. Look at, we have also other kind of intellectual property. I'm not going into detail on that. Semiconductor integrated circuit layout design. This is the functional design of the that you have in your chip. The chips are basically a semiconductor wafer, inside of which the electrical component and the wirings, they are arranged into in a certain three-dimensional topography, which is functional. That design is functional. That design is not due to not to give you aesthetic appeal, but to give the computer a particular function. So that design can be protected by SCILD. Till date, we have only 2 registered SCILD. So don't worry about it too much. Next, we also have GI. GI is when you have a goods. Think of Aranmula Karani. Aranmula Karani, I'm probably mangling the word. That is metal mirror. Metal mirror in I'll let me share the link. That would be better than going into going to share the intellectual going to share the internet slides I just in the chat box, let me just here this link. If you go to this link, you'd find there is a list of things that have been given to given a GI tag. So why is that? GI tag is given to things that have certain reputation that has been acquired for a long time, and that reputation has to have a connection with the soil, has to have a connection with the people who have lived in that particular place for a long time. So I was looking through your university, your college website, and I found there are so many intellectual assets there. River digital mapping, communication system. You have a film screening of 15 Park Avenue. Just this morning I was going through those things. You have poetry reading composed by faculty. You have social service data. You have your own YouTube channel. How much rights are involved in it? You are owners of so many intellectual property rights, and frankly, within the span of 1 hour, it's not possible to cover all the intellectual property rights. But by now, I'm sure you are aware that there is something we need to know about these rights. This is important. So we were talking about career opportunities. Career opportunity. How would it help us? How would it help us directly? So some of the things are listed here. You can get government job as examiners of patent and designs and trademarks and GI and copyright, because remember for patent there is certain substantial criteria that the technology must satisfy. So there has to be a subject expert who would check whether those criteria are met or not, whether your technology has novelty, is inventive enough. So these things would be checked by a subject expert with IP knowledge. That could be you. There is a exam. You can sit on the exam. You will find the notifications in IP India website, and voila, you would be a patent agent. You would become a trademark agent. You can be GRF. You can have GRF and SRF position in patent facilitation centers. There is another thing in litigations. Yes, you can act as a subject expert, giving your opinion to the bench. You can also, for management students especially, there is a new term. There is a term called intellectual property management. How many of you are aware of this term? How many of you have heard of this term? Intellectual property management. Well, if you haven't till that, don't worry, because now you have from me. So this is basically like let's say you have a shop and you want to sell the shop. What is the first thing you do? You do an inventory. This is just a little part of what is IPM, what is intellectual property management. And there is huge career opportunity there. So, and I only know only a little bit of intellectual property management, because only the little that I had to know because I had to practice. But management students, you guys, you are the masters of this craft. So a little bit of IP knowledge, you would be able to crown this or reign on this field. So what happens is, nowadays, since business transactions are mostly done with IPs, different forms of IPs, different types of IPs, before any merger acquisition, before any licensing agreement, you have to make an inventory of what are the IPs, what are the intellectual property you own. And you also know that intellectual property means a bundle of right. So which right of that bundle you have, which one of this bundle of right you have already licensed to someone else? What is the term of the license? Would it come back to you? Had it already come back to you? What is the term of protection for this IP? So before you sell something, you have to own it completely. Now, if your patent has already come in public domain, if it has expired, then its cost, then price would be much less than a live patent. So this is a new field that you can step into. So I think we are kind of done. And if you guys have any question, please. welcome. And Dr. Shuchata has she can share the slide if you want to have the slides. So any question, anything? And yes, I have a request. If any of you had hit the print screen button in the meantime, can you kind of mail me the pictures of or maybe a group photo for posterity, if it's possible. Question answers, please, and a group photo if it is not very inconvenient. Yes.
Yeah, I call upon Dr. Aarti Verma to take up the question and answer session. But before that, ma'am, it was a wonderful session, very knowledgeable.
Oh, thank you. The thing is, we have to have fun while learning. My postdoctorate was in science and technology. And because it was so fun, my professor told me that you learn a little bit of patent, it would be helpful for your... I was doing molecular genomics. I was doing work in molecular genomics. And then in science college. And then my professor told me, you go learn IP. And I kind of fell in love with the subject. And then now I am teaching law to law students and teaching technology law to law students in an NLU. So anyway, sorry, I talk too much, I know.
Thank you, dear Purvi ma'am. I appreciate Dr. Maury Ghosh for informative and enriching session on IPR. In today's arena, the awareness on IPR is mandatory to stimulate research and development.
Sorry, can you come again?
In today's arena, it is mandatory to, in today's arena, the awareness on IPR is mandatory to stimulate research and development. There are few questions from our student participants.
Yes.
The very first question is folk art copyrightable?
If?
Folk art copyrightable.
Folk art, huh?
Yeah.
Is that copyrighted?
Yeah.
Folk art is something that comes under traditional knowledge. Some of the folk arts should be copyrighted, but mostly, think of Aesop's fables or this kind of fables and fairy tales that we have, that our grandmothers and their grandmothers have been telling us from time to time. They are the custodian of this knowledge. So you cannot find a particular person who created. If you can pinpoint, this is the particular person who has created this story or this art, then yes, that person would have copyright for their lifetime. And then copyright would expire after 60 years. But after their death. But if you cannot pinpoint a particular person, if it is a community, if it is certain tribes would have their own way of telling Mahabharata and Ramayana. I attended a seminar that was actually that was a literary seminar, and I thought I would be kind of bored, but it was very scintillating. And I found out that different tribes, they have their own version of Ramayana. Who knew? So that version is the custodian. They are the custodian. That is the property of that particular tribe, because someone along the line had added some part, someone else added some other part, and that is how the original Ramayana changed a little bit. So you cannot pinpoint who contributed in which part. Folk art is something like that. Yes, that's a very good question. Whoever the person is, my claps to that one.
Thank you, ma'am. The second question is, can trademark be cancelled or invalidated?
Yes. Well, another very good question. So trademark would have to be used. Trademark would have to be used or it would lose its value, because trademark works on public memorization and public perception. I remember that Apple gave me good service in computer. Apple computer was good. That was in my memorization. That is my perception. It has goodwill. So next time I have an option to buy an Apple computer and a Pineapple computer, I choose Apple computer. So use. Unless you use, then things would be wiped up. So that is one way. You can also, due to unuse or you can invalidate your trademark would be invalidated. If you do not use it, then the brand value would get lost. When it is live, you can even sell. Like I told you, I probably told the children that Forbes brand value. Go to the list for Forbes brand value. That would give you a list of what is the current brand value, because that keeps changing. Euro Cup 2020, yeah, Messi. He went and there was this bottles of Coca-Cola was sitting in front of him, and he took those bottles, he put them down, and he took water bottle, drank water, and said water is best. What happened next day? The very next day, Coca-Cola's brand value dropped by billions. Public perception. So unless you use it, unless public remembers it, and unless public has this, I'm sorry because I haven't drunk anything. Let me have a sip. Unless public memorizes it, and unless public has a goodwill that is alive in their brain, because it's an intellectual property, it can get lost. And that is only one way. If it is not distinctive enough, then it can get, for example, Velcro is a trademark, but it becomes generic because of because it becomes synonymous with a dictionary word. Yes, again. Sorry. Yes.
Question from Kiram. Calligraphy and image portrait comes under which art?
Acha, portrait would come under artistic work. Anything creative. See, this is the kind of a yardstick. You have to remember anything creative like literary work, drama. Then calligraphy is also the art of calligraphy. This is how you kind of font. Na? You paint it. And
Yes, ma'am.
and image portraits, those are something you paint. Those are artistic work. Sculptures, then musical works, then movies. Those are copyrighted. Those are different kind of. See, there was this slide: literary work, dramatic work, musical work, artistic work, sound recording, movies, cinematographic work. So these things are copyrighted. These things are usually copyrighted. One thing, songs are combination of two different kind of works: literary work and musical work. So let's say we shall overcome. So we shall overcome. When I say we shall overcome, that part, that this is the song. When we say we shall overcome, the words, this is the literary work, and the music, that do re mi fa thing, that is the musical work. So it doesn't mean that a work would always come separate from other works. They could be combined together. They could be derivative works. Okay, next. Questions.
Next question from Mansi Dumre.
Yes.
What can we do to ensure the protection of IT software or programming codes, as they can't be copyrighted?
Now, they can be copyrighted. Software and programming codes, they are considered as literary work in India.
Okay.
And in US, you can also patent them because they have a functional aspect. Anything that you can write down can be copyrighted. This was case law. This was decided by a judge in a case. So this is in India, you can have, you can copyright a programming code. The moment you fix it, in India, it is automatic. The moment you fix it, you write a program, you send yourself an email of that program. That is the moment you give the timestamp. This is the date when I have fixed it. So if anybody else copies the program, you can show that, look, this date, there is a proof that this is the date when I have fixed it. It is original, it originated from me. And I have fixation. It is an expression, it's not an idea, it's not just a concept. I have the A plus B plus C, everything there. So I have the main and then third bracket and everything there. Now, computer program is a because it's part functional and part creative. Protecting computer program of how much of it would be protected is a completely different issue. There are different tests to determine how much of your computer program has been copied by another person, because there is only so many ways you can write 2 plus 3 equal to 5. So that is something you have to take into consideration. You can also write 2 plus 5 plus 8 minus 8 equal to 5. But you have to write a computer program in a most efficient way. And the most efficient way would be remove the redundant. Yes, so next, nice question.
Next question is, when we go to shopping malls, we find a background music being played. So that music, what is played in the background, is it infringement to copyright?
Acha. So in background music, in India, we have something that is called fair deals. So some broadcast is would come under those exception. That is also something we need to learn about copyright. Sometime we use a part of a book, we Xerox it and we copy it and we take it in our home and we read it. We are making reproductions, but this is not copyright infringement because we have studying and we have research exemption. But if we are xeroxing the book in order to sell it, then we are doing copyright infringement. So there are certain things that would come under the exceptions, and some of the things that would be considered as copyright infringement. For the broadcasting, that musical thing, it's a very good question because huge chunk of debate was there. So what happened was, the broadcasting industry, they told the music producers that look, we are broadcasting your music in the shopping mall, in the restaurant, people listen to this music, that is, we are advertising your music, we are actually increasing your sales. Producer said, no, don't give me that song and dance, you need to take royalty from me. So there was a huge tug and war between two different lobbies. So after that, broadcasting right is in India, it is considered as a separate right. So if you are broadcasting it for commercial purpose, you have to take their permission. Permission means you have to shell out some money and they would give you permission. Okay, you can.
The last question for the day, ma'am. Will creation of work about the same theme by different authors lead to infringement?
Good. How many people have drawn Gandhiji? We have the same concept of Gandhiji. Gandhiji's face is it will always remain the same. The same bald head, the same smiley face, the same, his eyes would be smiling as well. There would be wrinkles around his and the corners of the eye. There would be that frame of the glass. You just go into internet and you'd find, try to find portraits of Gandhiji. There are so many Gandhiji in the same pose. But if we stop the idea of Gandhiji being painted, then first Gandhiji, after the first Gandhiji was painted, let's say I painted the first Gandhiji, then you'd have to wait till I die. Then you'll have to wait till more 60 years. Then you can paint another Gandhiji. That is not done. Why? Because one of the requirement of copyright is, one was originality, second was fixation, the third was expression. Ideas or facts cannot be copyrighted. Expression can. My rendition, my artistic rendition of Gandhiji is different from your artistic rendition of Gandhiji. This one originates from me. This one has a piece of me interwoven within the artistic rendition. That one has a piece of you coming in and out of the words. If it is a literary work, if it is an artistic work, a piece of our part goes into it. That is why when we look at we edit, our students give us a project and ask us, please edit this. We edit it. And then they get mad. Oh, I have written such a beautiful thing and she edited the whole thing. She deleted it out. I had made such a brilliant composition. And I understand it because I was at one point of time, I was in the same position. My brother edited my PhD thesis and I was really mad at him. That's such nice composition and you deleted it. So my brother shared a nugget of wisdom with me that I am sharing with everybody. So he said, don't fall in love with your thesis. So that is what happens. Why do we fall in love with our thesis? Because a part of us, part of our heart gets involved. A part of our mind gets involved. What we write is who we are. What we create is who we are. That is why in copyright, we have the moral right. We do not have moral right with patent or anything. So if someone, if say M.F. Hossain painted a picture of let's say a pig. He painted a picture of a pig. I cannot take the pig and showcase it in my wall after whitewashing over the tail of the pig. Because it would be distorting his reputation. I will be defaming his reputation, distorting his reputation. Now, suppose I draw a pig and you buy my pig picture and you wipe up the nose, you wipe up the tail, I can do nothing because Moral right is contingent of me on the artist having a reputation. I do not have a reputation as an artist. M.A. Person has. So that is why, what was the question? I forgot. But I think I have answered it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for your answers.
And
It
thank
was-
you for having me here. Thank you for Vice Principal sir. Thank you for Shuchita, Dr. Shuchita ma'am, and Dr. Pravi and Dr. Aarti. And you have been very nice, and it's a very nice experience.
Over
really
to
nice.
you. Over to you, Purvi. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Aarti Verma, ma'am. Now I request Swati Suchak, ma'am, from the Department of BCA to render the vote of thanks. Swati, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you,
Good morning,
Purvi
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
It's
Thank
me,
you,
I
Purvi
am-
ma'am.
Huh.
Good afternoon, everyone
Oh, good
present
afternoon.
here. Our honorable resource person, Dr. Mori Ghosh, respected dignitaries, and dear participants. On behalf of Srimati P.N. Doshi Women's College and St. Joseph's College, I, Mrs. Swati Suchak, Assistant Professor of Department of BCA, feel immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to management of both the colleges for their support for having such kind of activities under the faculty and student exchange program between both the colleges. And today our IPR webinar is one of them. I want to express my sincere gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Mori Ghosh, who has spared her precious time from her busy schedule to grace the occasion and enlighten all of us with the detailed aspects of the intellectual property rights by giving the real life examples in this webinar and her expertise. Thank you so much, madam. I would take this opportunity to express my deep regards to our principal, Madam Dr. Asha Menon, and to the principal of St. Joseph College, Dr. Sister Eliza, for being a constant source of motivation and guiding force in our endeavor and efforts to excel in the field of education. My deep sense of thanks and appreciation goes to the organizing team of both the colleges, especially Elizabeth Paul Madam from St. Joseph College for coordinating with us for this webinar, and all the teaching staff of BA, BCom, BCA, BAF and MCom department of both the colleges and non-teaching staff for working hard for the past few days to make this webinar successful. And to all the participants who were live with us on the Zoom as well as on YouTube and attended the webinar with a great enthusiasm and made it a great success. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of the today's webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. And students are requested to fill the feedback. The link is shared on the Zoom as well as on the YouTube. And please fill the details carefully so that the certificates will be given to you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Madam Shuchak. Ma'am, I have also given the TIFAC has given us a Google form, which is much easier to fill up by the participants. So I am just copying it and pasting it in the chat box here. Oh, I've already done it before. Okay, so it just has the names and the nationality kind of thing. Name, nationality, age, above 19 or so. What is your name of your institution? So like ma'am said, like Shuchak ma'am said, so it would be easier for us to give you a participation certificate. Be very sure to spell your name right. Many a time I had have my name spelled different in different certificates because my name is very easy to spell differently. It is a very nice experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And students are requested to fill both the feedback forms, which is shared by us and the Mori madam. So, and all of you are requested to please turn on the camera so that we will have a group photos.
Yes. And ma'am, can you please send me email me the group photo as well if it is possible?
Sure, sure, ma'am. Sure, we'll do
for
that.
posterity? Because it was a lovely experience for me, and you have been very lovely. All the coordinators have been lovely, and the students are very lively, like that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Request all the students and the organizing team.
We request everyone to please turn on the camera.
And the organizing team please on the cameras. Yes, thank you. It is done.